let's move on. Let's talk about Penn State traveling across the country, 3 time zones at least. To USC. Penn State's favored by 5.5 in this one. Penn State coming off they won. I mean, they're fine. They didn't really feel like a super mega sweat there. USC coming off a just brutal loss to Minnesota on the road there. Hoping to turn it around here now that they're at home. Lincoln Riley, fan base is getting a little bit impatient with him over there. USC just not finding ways to put the ball in the end zone last week. And we've talked about Penn State's secondary, especially with, their safety or Winston, getting hurt. It is potentially vulnerable. If there was a spot maybe in this defense that was vulnerable, could be their secondary. And USC's offensive line, I'm inclined to believe is pretty good, although Ja Joyner played pretty well against them.
The tackles do kind of concern me. I mean, Ja Joyner, and by the way, he is probably one of the better underrated defensive linemen, edge rushers in the Big Ten here, and he got after him. He really did, especially when USC was forced to throw the football, or you knew they kind of were going to, and USC just went away from the running game. Like, what was that about? If you stuck with that, you put your pedal there, the metal there, you were going to get a win in Minneapolis there, and you didn't. And whether that's Lincoln Riley, whether that's scheme or whatever, they thought certain matchups, maybe Minnesota did something different in the second half to kind of stifle that, but I didn't see it right in the stands there. I didn't quite see it. Regardless, so I don't know, man. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I mean, finally the sack numbers are starting to pick it up for Penn State here early in the season. They were getting pressure, just not getting to the quarterback. Now it seems to be that way. Abdul Carter and Danny Dennis Sutton combining for 34 pressures already. It's week 7. Those are pretty good numbers. I just, every time I watch Penn State, I'm just not impressed. All right.
No,
I know.
Yeah.
Is that crazy? Here's the thing. USC's run defense, though, it's been an issue this year. I mean, Darius Taylor. I mean, I don't know if we're looking at this from a lens of supreme recency bias, but also when USC played LSU did not realize that they had a guy by the name of Caden Durham who's really good at running back. Okay. And also I would say that USC benefited from getting some turnover on downs in some key situations against LSU. So when I look back on that game, I think I'm looking at it through a different lens now, where maybe LSU could have and should have won that game, But at the same time, I look at this Penn State team and I'm like, they're running the ball really effectively, and that is just the Andy Kotelnicki effect, right? He's just been awesome, and the defense has been also lights out as well. 5.5 though, I do think that USC's weapons are really, really good, and I think traveling across the country is no joke. I like this to be a low-scoring game. I do, and I'm not sure everyone's going to agree with that, because everyone's going to be like, oh, Penn State's going to run all over USC. And they're going to be like, oh, USC's going to throw the ball over Penn State. I don't know that this is going to be a high-scoring game. I don't know. The total's at 50.5, and I kind of like the under, not to preview the best bets of the week, but I think I like the points with USC here, the 5.5.
Yeah.
That's
not crazy. I like USC here. I'll take plus 5.5. I'll take USC to win as well.
Me too.
Like you said it best. Penn State just has not been impressive, I don't think, all year in terms of
for some reason
how they played.
And maybe they look awesome.
I mean, they're getting wins, right? 5-0 is better than 3-2 for USC right now, absolutely. And they haven't had the dud. And when they did, maybe against Bowling Green, right, Illinois for a little bit, they came back and they had a nice, finish to that football game. I just think this USC team is pretty good. I think they're battle tested. I think they just kind of flat out got beat by a bad matchup right on the road and by a physical football team. And
also they abandoned the run.
Yeah, and they banned the run. Yeah, which I don't think they'll do again. The only good news for Penn State here is that Nick Singleton sounds like he will be back for this game, which is massive. He missed last week. Him and Kay Allen splitting time there is a huge step up, is a huge thing, especially like you said, against this USC front. Hopefully Eric Gentry is back for USC. They really missed him against Minnesota. It's a possibility he might be back. If not, he might kind of have to be gone for a while now. We'll see here about that. I just think USC gets it done at home. I think that the travel, we've seen these teams struggle traveling across the country. I think USC's fired up. I don't think Penn State's built to play from behind, and USC is. So I feel good either way with the game script. Yeah, give me USC here.
Yeah, and I don't feel good about it at all. I don't feel good about it because what happens too? Like if Penn State gets up, okay, and they can just pin their ears back on defense, it could get weird. Now, here's the thing too: if Penn State gets up, Andy Kotelnicki, known for being pretty fast paced guy, like got to know when to slow it down. I got a lot of questions, man, about USC and Penn State for that matter. And I don't know that these teams are the right matchup for each other to really know like how I feel about these teams moving forward because USC, we know how strong their passing game is, and Penn State's secondary. I feel like, and I could be totally proven wrong this week, I feel like it's been gettable, and USC's run defense has kind of been lacking. So they both kind of play into each other's weaknesses. So I don't know that we're going to learn. This is a game we should learn more about these teams, but I feel like I'm going to come out of it and be like, well, I mean, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that Penn State was going to run the ball well. I knew that USC was going to throw the ball well. It's like, but we'll see. I mean, it's always tough. Again, you talk about it all the time. Like, what is this traveling attrition going to look like for teams? Traveling to and fro California. I mean, I'm looking for USC to get right, man. I think that Minnesota game was more of an outlier. I think there were a lot of games that were outliers last week. All right, that's not the lone game, but and we both had USC on our best bets last week. I thought they were going to roll Minnesota. I thought they were going to walk in there, taunt it and bank, give them the business, throw the ball all over the yard against a secondary that I thought was overrated. Justin Wally was banged up, and I mean he ended up playing phenomenal. But yeah, I'm gonna take USC. I don't feel good about it, but we're gonna do it, and we've done pretty well this year. So I'm just gonna trust my gut.